Hi everyone, today we are going to present about Shell Company. First of all, I will introduce my group member, which consists of 4 members: Nurul, Asna, Idrina, Siti, Aisyah, and also me, myself, Nadia, Adila. As for my part, I will present about the background of the company. Here we go. Shell is a business which grew from a small shop in London nearly 200 years ago. Shell is owned by Royal Dutch or Shell Group, which have more than 145 branches around the world. Malaysia's first oil well was discovered by Shell on Canada Hill in Miri, Sarawak in 1910. Shell has been a partner in fueling Malaysia's progress for over 125 years ago. Shell is one of the top employers in Malaysia with thousands of employees. As for your information, Shell Malaysia HQ is located at Kuala Lumpur and currently have around 950 stations and 14 terminals nationwide. Next, for the Shell's value, their core values are honesty, integrity, and respect for all people. The Shell General Business Principle, Code of Conduct, and Code of Ethics help everyone at the Shell to act in line with this value and comply with all relevant legislation and regulation. Next, we move to the Shell brand. From 1891 until 1971, the logo of Shell kept changing in order to make them more recognized by the world. In 1891, for the first time, the word Shell was appeared. It is as the trademark for kerosene shipped to the Far East by Marquis Samuel and Company. In the year 1897 until 1901, Shell was elevated to corporate status. The first logo for the Shell was a mussel shell. In 1904, the logo was changed to scallop or pectin emblem. It is to give visual representation of the brand. We move to 1907. Latter's brand name became short form name due to the Royal Petroleum Company and Shell Transport and Trading are merged. Last but not least, the current emblem was introduced in 1971. 30 years on, it stands the test of time as one of the world's most recognized symbols. Why we choose Shell? As we know, most of the sector
Global oil and gas majors are experiencing unprecedented disruption due to historic crude oil price slump and collapse in global demand caused by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Offshore Technology lists the top 10 oil and gas companies in 2020 based on 2019 revenues. Chinese companies continue to dominate the industry, with Sinopec topping the list, followed by China National Petroleum Corp and PetroChina. Royal Dutch Shell is in fourth place, also is affected by this pandemic. Royal Dutch Shell reported an 11% year-over-year decline in revenues owing to fluctuation in oil prices. The downstream segment accounted for the majority, 85% of the company's revenue. Major milestones included the first shipment of liquefied natural gas (LNG) from the Prelude floating LNG facility and startup of the modular liquefaction system at Elba Island in Georgia, United States, and first production from 2 floating production, storage and offloading vessels at Lula North Project and Optimal Field. The company reported revenues of $44.71 billion in the third quarter of 2020, a 50% decrease over Q3 2019. In early 2020, it announced a reduction of $5 billion in capital expenditure for the year to $20 billion or lower, and reduction in operating costs by $3 billion to $5 billion to deal with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Shell is a global energy and petrochemical company engaged in the exploration, production, refining and marketing of oil and natural gas, and the manufacturing and marketing of chemical products. Established in 1907, the company is headquartered in The Hague, Netherlands, according to Technology 2020. Shell continues to transform the company, ensuring that the portfolio is well positioned for the future of energy. Shell's ambition is to reduce the net carbon footprint of the energy products that they sell. Shell's strategy is set against several global trends. A growing population and rising living standards are likely to continue to significantly increase energy demand for years to come. While the world needs to find a way to meet this growing demand, carbon dioxide emissions need to fall to counter climate change. Shell recognizes that the pace and specific path forward is uncertain and so requires agile decision making. The second changes made by Shell is mergers and acquisition. Mergers and acquisition. The primary objective of M&A activities are diversifications, market expansion, improving competitive position, and depression immunity. Mergers and acquisitions in oil and gas companies have been slowed by the COVID-19 outbreak, but as companies embrace the energy transition, opportunities will arise. 2020 has been a unique year. Global markets were decimated by a poorly timed oil price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia, and economic activity continued downward throughout the summer as economies all but shut down, having contended with a record low in oil prices and diminished demand as lockdown continue and habits change. Two of the oil and gas industry's biggest players, British Petroleum (BP) and Shell, are making a strategic shift from international oil company to international energy company. BP and Shell are applying vertical merger or acquisition too, whereas two companies join forces in the same industry, but they are at different points on the supply chain. They become more vertically integrated by improving logistics, consolidating staffs, and perhaps reducing time to market for products.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Aisyah. So I will continue share the action that shell company took to overcome their issue during pandemic COVID-19. Alright, just now Asna had mentioned that Shell was restructuring their business, and also she had mentioned about merger and acquisition. So basically, Shell have an ambition which is to be a net zero emissions energy business. However, due to this pandemic, Shell set out their ambition to the ongoing restructuring of their operations. They apply net zero to in all company operation, which means major changes at refineries, chemical sites, onshore and offshore production facilities. Next, according to Pen van Perden, who is the CEO of Royal Dutch Shell, restructuring means job cuts where a certain amount of the organizational complexity have to remove. Their staff are dispersed through the company organizational structure. It means they bring their people with the technical skill together in one structure. The CEO also said that at the end of the 2022, they will reduce 7,000 to 9,000 jobs. In addition, around 1,500 people are already have taken voluntary redundancy. Furthermore, under the restructuring business, Shell plan to change the types of product which they change to low carbon electricity and also low carbon biofuel. The other restructuring business that Shell did was virtual working, which these types of working are like the other company during pandemic COVID-19. Okay, next we look to the merger and acquisition of Shell. So briefly, Shellmax and British Petroleum Limited was a British joint marketing venture between petroleum companies, which is Royal Dutch Shell and British Petroleum. They decide to merge their United Kingdom marketing operation in 1932. In response to the difficult economic condition of the times. Okay, so what they have planned to overcome the issue due to this pandemic COVID-19. First, their strategic shift from oil company to the international energy company. Next, while they are shifting focus on the growing movement towards renewables and cleanest form of energy, there remains a vast wealth of the resources to develop, and merger and acquisition will rebound. And last but not least, there are bargains to be had as company valuations have been driven down along their assets and encourage the oil and gas corporate merger and acquisitions. Alright, that's all from me. Thank you. And I will pass to my friends Idrina for continue this presentation.
Thank you, Aisyah. Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Idrina Binti Johan and I will continue the presentation on analysing the organisational change in Shell. So the success of organisational change within Shell during this pandemic is still cannot be measured as their organisational change is still ongoing. So to know whether it is a successful story or unsuccessful story, we have to look forward for several years in the future. So they also did not mention yet on their intervention and whether there is a change agent or not. However, we can look at the changes that has been made within Shell many years back. So each of the organizational change that has been made, there's a team that consists of managerial people and the change consultant. So this can be seen in Shell's organizational redesign in 1994, where a team was set up which consists of the head of HR, an executive, the head of Shell gas business, and also there are 3 consultants from McKinsey and Company. So the purpose of their redesign is to have a simpler structure with a clearer reporting relationship, allowing the corporate center to exert more effective influence and control over the operating company. So we can relate this redesign to Chapter 12 of Organization Design in whole organization intervention, where the purpose is to develop consistency between organization strategy, goals and structure. However, their intervention was a failure because of unexpected situation, and it was also a result of failure to focus on the right problem. So the issues that should be focused by them is how the top management managing the public relation, and generally how they manage the situation as a leader. The Shell top management then was seen as unresponsive and out of touch. So it is crucial for Shell to focus on solving the right problem. The second organizational development was done in 1997, where there are a few consultants from different companies work together for changing culture and behavior within Shell. The changes this time is a success story, which the result of the changes can be seen on increase in Shell's management development and organizational development activities. Then in 1998, another change happened where they moved from consensus-based decision-making towards the individual leadership and individual accountability. So in these changes, it divides their responsibility by products. So this change is also a success story where it was resulting in the global divisions of their chemical sector and the integration of upstream operation into the global exploration and production sector. We can relate this change with Chapter 10 of Executive Coaching in Individual Intervention, where it is noted that executive coaching is not offered solely for the benefits of the individual, but every individual intervention is a simultaneous organizational intervention. We also can relate this change with Chapter 12, Unit Structure in Whole Organizational Intervention, where in unit structure it divides responsibility by the market, product, service or geography that the unit serves. So overall, there are continuous improvement in managing organizational changes with the assist of professional consultant, giving a positive assumption that the current changes that they are doing during this COVID-19 will be a success story. So for their changes during this COVID-19, even though there is only limited information about their organizational development and change during this pandemic, a big company like Shell would definitely involve a consultant to assist them in managing their organizational changes. Since Shell is about to restructure their business where they are going to net zero emission, and there will be an implementation of digitalization instead of depending on oil, and it is also to reduce the impact of COVID-19 in all operation, and there will be a major changes. So we can guess that there will be a problem such as resistance to change, cultural shift, and changes in how works are done. So our recommendation is by implementing a strategic planning and real-time strategic change. So strategic planning involves making decisions about the organization's purpose, products, division, direction, and action plan, and it also involves trade-off and choices about customer and markets, as well as introspective analysis about the organization's competitive advantage and challenges in current environment. So therefore, it is important to have an internal change agent that can contribute to the successful strategic planning. So this internal change agent can contribute in making leaders aware of things such as how individual and teams adapt to changes in strategic direction, implication of the strategy on the organization design, organizational culture that support the strategy or hinder from it, and many others. So Shell also involved in mergers and acquisition activity. Therefore, they might need to do a cultural analysis, and they also need to consider on individual integration intervention, team integration intervention, cross-team or department intervention, and organization-wide intervention. So these 4 interventions are important in making sure the cultural integration will be successful. So for the lesson learned, as an organization, we have to be fast in responding to the changes that happen around the world. So we also need to build a proper strategies and address the right problems in making sure that the changes implemented are successful and effective. I think that's all from us. Thank you so much.